It's Ladies' Day on the platform today because it certainly wasn't their day on Saturday, when a baying mob of thousands, egged on by mainstream media into believing that a mother of four from Britain, visiting from Britain, was a Nazi, basically trampled all over free speech in this country, while the police stood by on the road outside and did absolutely frickin' nothing. They then took the woman who was in fear of her life and told her they couldn't protect her, and they were surprised she wasn't killed in the to-do, and that she should leave the country immediately. Stand proud, New Zealand. Stand proud. Look, we've got an organised interview with someone who was a marshal, but firstly, Jill has rung in, and I said I'd take people's calls, particularly women's calls this morning. Jill, good morning. Welcome to the platform.
Good morning.
How can I help, Jill?
I'm totally traumatised. What happened was that I heard in advance, I wasn't going to go. I heard, though, that there was this supposed connection with Nazis. And I thought, well, I'll go and I'll speak, because I have a 50-year history of standing up for women's rights and gay rights. So I thought, I'll go and speak. So I wasn't worried till I got to the venue. And I could see that there was a metal barrier around, and inside that there was about a metre with a rope. And I thought, oh, that's where they're going to put the police, like they did in Melbourne and Hobart, which separated the protesters from the women, mostly my age, who I was with. The police were nowhere to be seen. So then I saw, and this is before Posey Parker arrived, and they started to bash down the barriers. And I saw there was only one woman over beside the rotunda. So I went over there. I'm 70 years old. I went over there to try and help her to stop these people just barging in, and they were angry. It was really frightening. And I could say, we were just totally overwhelmed. They then pushed and shoved us all the way over to right in front of the rotunda, where I was standing right next to a reporter from one of the TV news, because there was a camera person right beside him. I said to him, where are the police? Where are the police? They were nowhere to be seen. Later on that night, I saw a video where I could see that when Posey Parker arrived, there was a van right beside her car, and she was saying, where are the police? They were sitting in the van. I saw photos of four of them under a tree, way to the back of the crowd. The police were so negligent in their duty that I have now resigned from the Labour Party, where I've been involved for many years, and I'm totally traumatised by the whole thing, that there was no protection, there was no ability for us to speak, and all I wanted to do was to declare, that people from the left also have concerns about what's going on in the erasure of women from our language and from our rights.
Jill, I thank you very, very much for ringing in this morning and telling us your truth and sharing that with us. And it does matter, and you will always have a voice here. We won't take a break. I'm going to go straight to this call. Tania, welcome to the platform.
Thank you very much.
How can we help today?
Okay, I was one of the organisers of the Let Women Speak event, and I was there at the Auckland event. I was up on the stage with Kelly J when she arrived, and I hugged her, and I received a dose of tomato juice or tomato soup.
Ah, right
on
there.
Top of me as well.
Right at the Nazi soup kitchen, some would say, Tania.
Absolutely.
Tell us about... Well, I am going to ask you this. It's one of the people who organised. Do you think you were organised enough? Did you underestimate what was going to happen? Or did you think you lived in a country that valued free speech and had a police force?
Well, there's that. We had no idea that that amount of people would turn up. We were not expecting that at all. We managed for our expectations based on previous Let Women Speak events in other countries, and our previous experience dealing with protests in New Zealand around this type of activism, and we had no idea that this would happen. We had full approval from the council. We had arranged all security measures required. It had been approved by the police. It had been approved by security. They had advised us that it was appropriate. There was no way we could have foreseen this.
Yeah. Tanya, I'm particularly interested in your liaison with police. Had undertakings been made by the police? Were they aware of the situation? And what contingencies had they told you were in place?
I've had no communication with the police since the event, and clearly no communication during the event. They were utterly lacking in any competence during the event, and I'm absolutely furious.
Beforehand, though, had you talked to them? Had you liaised with them? Because clearly they were there when she arrived. And what did they tell you they would do for you?
They told us they would be there. My understanding was at least 2 hours prior to the event starting, that they would have a reasonable member of staff there, and they would be fully available and fully aware of the risks to the attendees.
I watched the live stream, and it appeared to me that the police were literally standing by on the street outside and did nothing to intervene once things got physical.
Absolutely correct. I was there on the rotunda when they the protesters stormed us, and I was calling 111, and the police operator was obstructive.
What do you mean obstructive? Tell us about that, Tanya.
She just kept telling me she couldn't hear me, that I needed to turn the volume down because it was too noisy. She couldn't hear me. So
did anyone go to the police who were standing in the street outside and said, come and help?
My understanding was that someone did do that, and they said that they were observing or something like that. But
they were observing.
I can't verify that.
Tony, I've talked to Kelly J. She said she was fearful for her life. I understand the police told her afterwards that they were surprised she wasn't killed.
Yes.
Was that the level to which that got?
There was a point where I thought we were in trouble. I was with Kelly J, along with at least 3 or 4 marshals and her bodyguard, as we took her out. We all went down, I think, but I went down and I was kicked and punched. And at that point, I was just running on instinct, really. I just had to get up. I knew that. I lost the others, but they managed to get Kelly J out safely, as we know.
God, this sounds horrifying. I'm sorry, this sounds so terrifying, Tanya.
Well, it wasn't fun.
Wow. So you get out, and then, look, were you talking to her afterwards? And look, I get a feeling...
No, I haven't.
Yeah,
no,
it seemed to me the police then the police then isolated her and told her, we can't help you, you should leave the country. That felt like what happened, Tanya.
Again, I wasn't there, third-hand information. If that's what she said happened, then that's what happened. I can't speak to that. I had to remove myself.
How do you feel about New Zealand this Monday morning, Tanya? How do you feel about free speech and the rights of women or anyone else in our society?
I feel totally and absolutely betrayed by the police. I feel betrayed by the media. No disrespect. I feel that free speech is non-existent. We were just going to talk. We had one microphone. We were just going to talk. There were women there that were just going to read out a poem. We were going to read out a poem, and we got beaten up. That is not okay.
No, it's not.
I am absolutely furious.
Don't blame you. Tony, I do have to ask you this question, though. Who provided the funding for Kelly J's visit here?
Kelly J contributed a significant amount, and we crowdfunded. Well, we put out requests for donations.
Yeah, you know, mainstream media will say you were funded by Nazis, and that's just why I asked the question to clear that up.
I don't know any Nazis. I only ever talk to people who agree with me, usually.
Well, you got to talk to people who don't. That's how we learn stuff.
Oh,
that's how we grow. You know.
I prefer to learn without fists.
Tanya, I've invited Chanel Lyle and Max Tweedy and the rest of them, and Marama Davidson and the rest of them on the program this morning. They won't come. What would you say to them if they were here?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? What I would say to them, I would say, I probably can't say it.
You can. You know what? You can. You're on the platform. We let people say what they believe.
They should be absolutely, totally, 100% fucking ashamed of themselves. This was egregiously appalling behaviour. Promoting violence against women, most of them older women, is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. We just wanted to talk.
I hear you, Tanya, and thank you for talking to us this morning. Thank you very much indeed. Lucy, nice to hear from you. How are you?
Morning, Sean. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Okay. I think I'm feeling a bit the same as everyone else, a little bit shaky, especially after hearing these stories this morning. But I just wanted to share what my experience was.
Yeah.
We couldn't get there at 11 due to work, but I found out at 11:30 that Posey obviously had left. And so my partner and I still decided to go. So we kind of got there around 12:30 for the aftermath of the activists walking up Queen Street. So we kind of just walked on the side, trying not to look like we were part of it, but we were really observing. All we could hear was just bangs and crashes and whistles. The signage was just disgusting that we saw was just so horrible. And it made me wonder, like, do you guys even realize what you're protesting for? It made me think, I was like, this is blind leading the blind up Queen Street. And anyway, long story short, we get to the top where then I realized, wow, so they're protesting against Destiny Church. So it was kind of like, right, let's find the church people, because we definitely felt safe there. We spoke to a few people, so they had like the Freedoms New Zealand, obviously all the Man Up t-shirts and stuff.
But separate event, completely separate event.
Yeah, separate event. So the protesters started protesting them. And yelling at the people.
Funny though, you see, all those protesters then went down to take on Destiny Church. Wasn't a group of women, you know, of helpless women they could bully. It was a whole bunch of tough-looking guys, and they kind of backed off, I understand.
Yeah, so I think that, you know, we were probably up the top at Aotea Square for maybe 20 minutes, and it was pretty intense. I heard someone yell out, "You're not Māori if you don't support trans rights." So that was yelled out. There was a sign that said, "If you look at this, you're gay." And then, yeah, it was all, and we ended up watching the police. The police were in the middle of the group, and Destiny's Church were being pretty, like, calm. I think they were ready to go. And then the police just went on the side, like, away from the whole thing. And they just stood there. And I was
look, there may be some truth, Lucy, to the fact that there was such appalling security for the Stand Up, Speak Up for Women event because they were more concerned about a clash between Destiny Church and the protesters.
Yeah, well, it was clear that they were present there. Obviously, they had all the cop cars pushing, helping them up and down Queen Street. But anyway, we saw them just fluff around and do nothing really. And then it was time to leave. And as I'm leaving, I noticed behind me that, you can't really hear what people are saying, but this group, I don't know if they're women or men or I don't know, they all had...
Hard to tell these days, Lucy.
Fluffy hair, but they were yelling at these two women who had shirts on. Sorry, we've got an ambo going past. You might be able to hear it. But these women had shirts on that said woman, adult, human, female. And one woman was on crutches, and these people were just yelling at them and screaming at them. And my partner and I ended up following these two women, and I looked at them, and they had like complete terror in their eyes. They looked so like they were going to cry, and I felt like crying. I gave them a hug, and I, you know me, I ended up saying, hey, Jesus loves you, and you're so strong and whatnot. And then we ended up walking off, and I heard someone go, Jesus loves you. Jesus loves you. And I turned to look, and it's these two guys who were part of the protest start mocking me and then started mocking Jesus to my face. And, killed them with kindness. I did, and I was really proud. And then they ended up walking off from me. And then we left, but overall it was really scary. These people weren't nice. It's not... Yeah. Why would you be proud? I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. They got a lot to be proud of after Saturday. Lucy, really good. Thank you so much for the call, and thank you for being kind. Mel, thank you for waiting.
Hi, Sean.
How are you?
Sean. It was a setup, Sean. It was. I was there, and it was a setup. We were set up. Us women was set up, and the crowd was really violent. I'm not kidding you. I'm surprised that they didn't get to Posey, and I'm surprised that she got out.
Were you there, Mel?
I was right there. I've never been to a protest before. I'm not an activist. I'm not aligned with any party. I'm just an ordinary New Zealand woman, a mother, a grandmother, and worked hard and, just live an ordinary life. And I wanted to hear what she had to say and what other women had to say, and part of the reason I went was just purely curiosity, because I'm so concerned about what is happening in our country, and it was horrific. And they came through, and there's a 250-pound drag queen running towards us. It was frightening. It was so frightening, Sean. And it was a setup, and we were sitting ducks inside what they
Mel,
put up.
Did you get hit?
Flimsy fences. I didn't get hurt. I got out. I got out. It was hard to get out, but I got out. And I was so scared, and I'm still scared now.
Yeah.
And I ran.
Yeah.
I went up to where the police van was, and people were running up there saying to the police, "Please come and help. It's out of control."
And what were the police saying, Mel?
They said nothing. They sat in that van, and they just said nothing at all. They wouldn't get out. And there was a few police around, and they took some iron bars off some of the protesters, and they threw them into the gardens. And I saw that, and we're standing there, and people were just saying, "You've got to help. You've got to help. This, it's out of control." It was just frightening. And then Marama Davison comes along with her posse, skipping along, laughing and joking and whipping everybody up and saying, "Good job." And honestly, we were set up. The people that attended to see Posey, and Posey herself, it was a big setup, and I think that crowd was out to do some serious harm.
Yeah, I hear you, Mel.
I've never experienced anything like it, honestly. And I didn't tell my husband I was going, because he wouldn't have let me go, because we're not into.
Mel, I want
any
to
of that
ask,
stuff.
have you got friends, family around you, or are you on your own? Because you sound distressed, and I'd like to know that you're safe.
I'm on my own, but I'm okay. But I'm
Mel,
really
there
worried.
are. Look, have you got like helplines and stuff? Have you got neighbours? You got anyone you can reach out to?
Yeah, I can, but
Well,
Sean,
could
I'm
I ask you
really
to-
worried about this country.
I know, but at the moment, I'm worried about you. So I want you to take care of yourself.
I'll be okay. I think honestly, I'm just in shock. I'm in shock. Like, there were young girls there in the crowd, lots of university students, and they were banging their tambourines and their pots and blowing their whistles, and I just wondered, like, my God, I just couldn't believe it. I'm just like, what is happening? There was no love there.
Yeah,
There
just
was no
hang on,
love
Mel.
there.
Just hang on a second. Mel, I'm going to get you a number. Look, Ben's looking for some numbers you can call. I am concerned that you're on your own, and there are. Well, last time I looked, the
I'll
government.
be all right.
Well, are you sure? Because I'm
so distressed because the government endorsed all that, but it's like they wanted this to happen.
Yeah, it does look like that, doesn't it, Mel? It does. Can I for once without any irony or sarcasm say, I do reckon you need a cup of tea and a lie down, Mel, and I and I'm not joking.
I was shaking for hours on Saturday, honestly, and I was crying. I was walking down the road and I talked to this lady, this couple, and I said, I've never been to a protest in my entire life. I don't understand what went on there. And I said, I thought gay and lesbian, whatever. I don't care what somebody is. It's just, they're just people. I thought they were kind people. I thought they really were kind people. And she said to me that the trans community are very aggressive and very violent. Now, I had no idea. Like, I'm so naive with these things because I just, it's not what I'm about. I just want everyone to get along and live in a good country.
Now, what I want you to do is I want you to just put all this out of your head for a bit. Just chill and be you.
Yeah, I will.
And I want to give you a big thank you for ringing in and sharing with that for me today. And just take care of yourself, huh?
I just wanted to get it off my chest, and I've done that now, so thank you, Sean.
Anytime.
Okay.
Anytime, Mel. And now it's amazing, isn't it? Chris Luxon saying what he saw on the TV was mostly peaceful. Yeah, because you were watching the TV. You were watching TV1, weren't you? And TV3. TV3 actually did a better job than TV1. But Chris Luxon, if you think you are getting the truth from the mainstream media, who are part of the problem, then you're a fool. It was mostly pretty peaceful, says Chris Luxon. Listen to Mel. Listen to the other people who were there, the women who have rung in today, and tell me it was peaceful. Okay, I probably need a cup of tea too. Kirsty, thank you for waiting.
Hi, Sean. I just wanted to firstly say thank you very much for giving women a voice. I really appreciate you doing this. I was there on Saturday as well. I was pretty near the front when I saw Posey have that juice thrown over her. And from that moment, it was just carnage. There was just basically little removable barriers around the band rotunda. I'm still feeling shocked today, and my heart goes out to that lady who spoke before. I spoke to a woman in her 60s who was punched in the breast. I saw a lady in her 70s with a black eye. There was a palpable feeling in the air when we got there of hate and violence. And, we were a crowd, mostly middle-aged women. There were no protection. There was no police visible. We had to get out. I was actually there with one of my lesbian friends. I'm not anti-gay. I'm not anti-trans. We had to link arms and push through the surging crowd and get out. And it was horrific. And I genuinely feared for Kelly's life. I was really frightened. If they had got hold of her, they would have killed her. I am in no doubt.
Wow. And what do you think about the political response, the police response, the media response to what happened on Saturday, and, to be honest, their part in it?
I'm disgusted. You know, they whipped people up. They kept saying that she's anti-trans, and if anyone actually looked at her videos, they would say that she's not actually anti-trans at all. And to see Marama Davidson and Chloe Swarbrick, who is my local MP, I've emailed them. I'm absolutely disgusted. And, you know, Marama Davidson, you know, laughing, and Chloe Swarbrick was photographed with that person who threw the juice over Kelly, and they've been lauded as heroes. You know, it's absolutely disgusting. And you know, like that previous lady said, you know, yesterday I went for a walk, and I'm not a scared woman at all. I was feeling nervous yesterday. You know, it really shook my foundation for what I saw yesterday. And the thing that most shocked me is there was a lot of women there supporting this. You know, and it was okay to see elderly people. I mean, I've seen videos of a man being punched by a drag queen, a well-known drag queen. I'm happy to give his name off here if you like.
You can give his name on here, Kirsty. Who was it?
It was Trinity Ice.
Yeah, Trinity Ice, who put the elbow into that guy.
Yes.
That looked real scary. That was really nasty. That was one of the, you know, the most violent thing I'd seen. But apart from the old guy getting repeatedly punched.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Trinity Ice looks like he's built like a brick, you know what house. So, you know, it was shocking, you know, really, really shocking. And I think it's going to take quite a while for me and the other woman that were there to kind of get over this, because it's really shaken how safe we feel in New Zealand. And,
Kirsty,
I mean,
the question I'm going to ask you, do you think this is... I mean, do you seriously think that this is as bad as it's going to get? This is the trend, Kirsty.
Sean, to be honest, after what I saw on Saturday, I think it could get worse.
Yeah.
And I hate to say that, but I really do.
Kirsty, I thank you so much for sharing your truth. What do you say to Chris Luxon when he says, I watched the TV and it looked pretty peaceful? What would your message be to Chris Luxon?
Turn off the TV. Speak to some people who were really there. Look at alternative media like the platform. I mean, honestly, he's got no idea.
I thank you for your call, Kirsty. Have a safe day. Okay, we got calls lined up. I'm going to say to you, blokes, when you ring in, you're bottom of the queue. Today, women get first. So you might be waiting a while, guys. It doesn't mean you haven't got valid views. I just am trying to rebalance the books. As I said, blokes, you're going to be waiting a while because women are first in the queue today here on the platform. And Lynn, welcome to you.
Yeah, good morning, Sean. How are you?
Getting there.
Yeah. As for the events that happened over the weekend, I'm absolutely appalled. It makes a mockery for women's rights. It makes a mockery for our forebearers, and especially my great-great-grandmothers who worked for the vote.
Why do you feel so strongly about that? What? Look, I'm sorry, I'm reading the media, I'm listening to the politicians. They're saying there's nothing to see here. It was a wonderful rainbow explosion of love.
We're supposed to be a society that is against violence against women. We've got laws... I'm sorry, I'm really nervous, and I'm
no,
really...
No, don't, Lynn,
really
you're okay. You're okay, and if you want to hang up the
We've
phone, you're not going to...
got laws that are supposed to be there to help support women and to be against violence against women. All this has done is just made our rights void. I stood up against a family member after he abused our... female members of my family, and I sent him to prison. What's this going to do? Is this going to make everything void for women? I am terrified. I really am scared of the way this direction the country is heading.
Lynn, I'm sorry, I don't know what to say to you because I can understand why you're scared.
Yeah.
And believe, I'll share something with you, Lynn. Lynn, I was going to go down on Sunday to what happened on Sunday, and it got cancelled, of course, and I was thinking about going down anyway. And you know why I didn't go down in the end, Lynn? Because I was scared too.
Yeah. We talk about bullying in schools. I mean, my kids get bullied at school if they haven't been beaten up as such, but why? I mean, we talk about how we shouldn't be for violence, and yet the media and this current government is portraying violence and encouraging it.
Yeah.
Where are we going as a society? We've got to have to think about this seriously.
I hear you, Lynn. I hear you. What do you think when you read the papers and watch the TV news, though, and they say everything's okay? It was just a big love fest.
I think they're just lying to us. They are really lying. They're deluded. They're absolutely deluded. And where are the men? Where are you guys? Why aren't you speaking up for us women? We need your support. Where's the husbands? Where's the brothers, the uncles, the grandparents? Why aren't you speaking up against this? I'm not against the transgender. I wasn't against the gay rights movements.
Yeah.
Where's my right? Where's my right to have a speech?
Well,
Do
Lynn,
you
this
really hate us?
morning, Lynn,
Do
it's
they
right.
really hate us that much?
Lynn, it's right here on the platform, and it always will be. And I'm sorry. I just want to tell you I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sean, that you are speaking up for us.
No, you're speaking up for
But
yourself
I'm just
this morning, Lynn.
I'm tired of the way that we women seem to be cried down, and it doesn't matter what we do.
Yeah. I hear you. I thank you for your call. You got someone with you today? You're going to be all right today? I know a lot of people...
Yeah, no, I'm a lot stronger. I'm a lot stronger for what we've had to go through over the last few years.
Yeah. I thank you, Lynn.
That's why I rang.
I thank you, Lynn. You're a brave woman, and lucky to have you call in. Thank you. Oh, boy. Katrina, thank you for waiting. Katrina?
Sorry, Sean, you caught me having a sip of coffee.
Yeah.
Hi, Sean. Look, I was one of the organisers for the Wellington event, and I was in on the conversation we had with the police, and it was, I can't remember his full title. It was sort of like, the event organiser or manager or something like that, And I'm going to paraphrase here, but I have recorded the conversation. But during this conversation, because we're talking about, what we had in place, to security and everything like that we had in place for the event in Wellington. And at one stage, he basically said that the police have to be careful about the optics. Now, as I said, I'm paraphrasing, have to be careful about the optics of how they deal with the rainbow people, because of the fact, as soon as it looks as though they're being a bit sort of, like robust or hard or anything like that, there's a lot of outcry against it. So they have to be, careful. And he actually said this. So I'm not surprised that the police held back on Saturday. Now, I think there's other things going on as well, but I'm not surprised that they held back and let women take it instead of making themselves look bad by wading in and sort of,
So
dealing with...
they would have looked at all that footage from Australia where they get caught in the middle and everyone yells effing pigs. But I think they'd made a decision to stay out of this. I do think they hung Posey out to dry in Albert Park.
I think so too. Yes. And as I said, he was quite clear. He said it quite
and I
clearly
think
that,
Posey was given, and you guys were given no guarantee that the police would keep her safe in Wellington, right?
Pretty much, no guarantee. He said there would be a police presence. Of course, at first there was going to be almost nothing, and then once they saw the footage in Melbourne, they decided to up it. So they said that there would be, like, in Wellington, about 7 personnel on hand.
Funny, isn't it? Funny, isn't it, Katrina, when they're protecting Parliament and a whole lot of MPs who won't come down and talk to protesters, they get 700 cops in from around the country. Sonic cannons and the full lot. A bunch of women want to say something in a public square. We're a bit busy. might look bad for us.
Yeah, that's right. Because I think the Cuba Dutha event was on also in Wellington.
Oh, yeah.
So, they sort of, they said that there'd be 7 at the rally, and there'd be about maybe 6 more. I made the numbers a little bit back to front. About 6 more on call monitoring, around the festival that could be on call. So that was it for the rally, and that was after looking at Melbourne footage.
Yeah.
And that's what he quoted.
So
us.
fundamentally, you were told I mean, look, I can see why she left the country, and I can see why Sunday's event didn't go ahead. You were basically told our government, through our police, is not going to support, protect or uphold your right to freedom of speech in a public place, right?
That's right. Yeah. We'll give you the bare minimum because we've kind of had our hand forced a little bit, that kind of thing.
But we're so scared of the rainbow or the extremist rainbow groups, we don't really want to be involved.
That's right. Yes, scared of the optics of what happens when they get a bit robust.
Jesus, I'm ashamed. I'm bloody ashamed to be a man today, and ashamed to be a New Zealander. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, look. Yeah, I tell you, I'm really ashamed of New Zealand too now, and I'm thinking to myself, what would the world be looking at us like? A bunch of yokels.
Well, I can tell you they are looking at us and making comparisons to North Korea, which are a little over-dramatic, but they're basically saying the wokest, bentest country in the world, I think is what the rest of the world is saying on social media.
Yeah, and it's not to our detriment.
Katrina, what do you say to someone like Chris Luxon? He says it looked pretty peaceful to me on Saturday.
Well, he was certainly looking at selected footage, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Katrina, I thank you very much for your call. And can I also say I thank you very much for still believing that we live in a country where even if I don't agree with you, you have the right to say what you believe in a public place and express your views, and I will die in the ditch for your right to do that.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
Cheers. Okay, just a reminder, calls are stacked up. Guys, you're at the back of the queue today. And I repeat my request for Chanel Lyle, Max Tweedy, anyone involved in organising the thuggery on Saturday, ring the platform. The number is open, 0800 332 I've asked you on social media. You'd rather go and talk to your friends and allies in state and mainstream media, wouldn't you? The people who you've got to do the rainbow tick, who you control at fear of loss of their life and loss of their livelihoods and loss of income. Wendy, welcome to the platform.
Hi there.
How you going today?
Actually, I'm still pretty shell-shocked, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, really, what happened on Saturday, it was the scariest thing I have ever been through. I was absolutely terrified.
Were you there, Wendy?
I was there.
Jeez, okay. Tell us your experience.
I was there. It was so frightening, and there were no police. There was nobody there for us. I didn't know how we were going to get out of there.
Yeah.
There must have only been a few hundred people, that were supporting
Chris Luxon says it looks pretty peaceful to him. What would you say to Chris Luxon?
Oh, what a load of rubbish. Absolute rubbish. I swear to God, if he had been there, like I say, absolutely terrifying. We wanted safety. We finally got out of there, and they were everywhere. And I was with my sister, and we were like, where do we go? Like, where can we go? And we thought, I know, we'll go to Aotea Square, because we knew that Brian Tamaki was down there and that he had security and there'd be police there. So we went down there because we needed safety. We were so frightened.
It's a weird world where people are running to Destiny Church, women are running to Destiny Church to keep them safe as the police stand by. That's an alternate universe, isn't it, Wendy?
It totally is. And I mean, look, I've never been a supporter of his, ever, or been a fan, but it was the only place we felt like we could get some protection. And we did. We got there and we were welcomed, and there were men everywhere. the rainbow community all came down with descended on us again down there, but they didn't use the same level of violence and aggression because we were surrounded by men.
Yeah. Funny that. But
we got right in the middle of where all the men
and
were.
Wendy, what have we come to where public demonstration and protest, whether it's successful or not, is literally defined by who would win a physical confrontation? There is something horribly wrong here.
Yeah, and I mean, we were easy targets.
Yeah.
Easy targets. And there was, we was talking to a woman who just got off when we got out. She said, I've been on the phone to the police. She said, I've been calling saying, we need police here. They didn't come.
Yeah.
They didn't care about us. They weren't worried about our safety. Those rainbow trans protesters were given free rein to do whatever they wanted.
Yep, I hear you. And
then they were given free rein to carry on back down Queen Street and then do it all over again.
Yeah, yep.
And celebrated. Yay, what heroes.
Wendy, I thank you for your call. Hang in there.
Thank you, and thank you for listening to us and letting us speak.
That's what it's about. No, that's what it's about. Avis, how are you this morning?
To be honest, Sean, I've run the gauntlet of emotions. I have before in the past, but yep, that's. I thought Wellington was bad. Oh, mate.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so I refuse, as a natural-born DNA woman, to give up any rights or minimise any rights that my forebears fought for appropriately. They were abused, they were victimised, they were put in prison, you name it. But the reality is that this shows very clearly how incredibly sick our country has become. Whether you agree with her or not, she had the right to speak. And women had the right to feel safe and be kept safe. Anybody, even if their husbands, their sons, whatever, came to support. People had the right to go and hear what was said.
Yeah.
For the community that call themselves transgender, I really do appeal that, like you and others and all of us have said, do not tar that brush upon the whole of the community. It is a small minority who are incredibly radical and with their very loud voice have been able to take over, really. One of your callers said that people, that homosexual transgender folk are leaving the rainbow community. I can understand why. Every gay friend that I have is absolutely horrified at what went down. They're heartbroken because that's not going to solve anything. It doesn't get the message across. All it does is it gets people's backs up, and they've damaged what has been long fought for, Sean.
I hear you, Avis.
Back in the 80s, I look at how, that's what makes my heart.
You hang in there, Avis, and I thank you for calling. I thank you for all your calls. Just hang in there. Look, Ben and I have decided we're going to dump the news again. We're here to provide a platform for people to speak and speak their truth, and you're doing that in huge numbers. Kevin and Douglas, I know you've been waiting for nearly half an hour each now, but I've got women who want to talk, and that's the brief today, the text. Look, I'm sure Michael will continue this conversation afterwards. It is important. This is a safe space for everyone. And Chanel and Max, I hope you're listening. I hope you're listening to what you've done, and I invite you, in the spirit of debate and free speech, to ring in yourselves and explain to us whether this is what you wanted or if it's all gone horribly wrong. Marie, welcome.
Hello, Sean.
How are you?
Good morning. I'm absolutely horrified. I was one of the women that were going to speak
when?
today.
In Wellington.
In Wellington, yes.
Yeah.
And of course it was cancelled. I'm an old working class lesbian. I came out before gay liberation. And I would
You were a
really
lesbian before it was fashionable, Marie. Is that what you're telling me?
I was indeed, and it was not very nice. I know the face of hate. We saw it.
Yeah.
We saw it when we come out of our venues and women got beaten up, they got raped, all sorts of the lesbians. The face of hate's still there, only the mob is huge. We were dealing with single groups of men trying to hide and run and whatever we did to survive. But now this is a different level, and it's all down to how this LGBTQ group was formed. And I want to talk about that if I can.
Yes, you can, Marie. I'm all ears.
That is it all. Okay, let's just start. LGBTQ plus. Forget about it being a rainbow, glitter, lovely place for anybody, lesbian, gay, whatever. It is now a corporate political lobby group. And you know that already because of the rainbow tick.
Yeah,
There's a lot of money.
I hate to say it, I get no joy in saying I have been kind of pointing this out for a while.
Yeah, and if you want to know more about how much money is behind all this and how much money is fed into this, I can send you a link of a woman who has been researching this for years and finds it hard to get a platform. There's a 2-hour lecture she gave, and she condenses it all into her lecture, and you will have your mind blown. I'll send you that link afterwards if you're wanting to see it. What we find now with the LGBTQ plus is now controlled by the T and the Q.
Yeah.
It doesn't represent lesbians or gays or bi. I've never been to a pride or rainbow parade. I've never had any connection to that except for supporting decriminalising the gay men. Where the hell are they now? I'm buggered if I know. I want to add that what kind of a dangerous truth are they afraid of that the trans rights activists, and with the aid of the government and the mainstream media, they are inciting violence to stop women from speaking. What are they so afraid of? And the whole thing boils down to it's not hate to tell the truth. It's not hate speech. The truth is the truth. And you might not like hearing it, but it's look, I've been called all the vile names that you can think of. I'm 72 now. I've had it all. I mean, after a while, you sort of think, when you have some fundamentalist Christian telling you that you should be smothered at birth. All I can say is, well, I wasn't aware I was a lesbian when I popped out of my mother's
Well, Marie,
womb.
the interesting thing that's happening here, though, is that the fundamentalist Christians are with you right now.
Oh, yeah, everybody who sort of wants to have tradition, our history. They want to erase our history. They take lesbians that we know from the past and they're calling them trans men.
What I'm saying is I think right-wing politics and fundamentalist Christian politics is lining up with you, with lesbians. I think some strange alliances.
I don't think they're lining up with me as a lesbian. They're lining up with the fact that there's things going wrong. They're seeing that they are in danger too from this lobby group that's coming out. And I think that they're saying that it's going to be dangerous for them. My partner and I, we did sandwich board protests in the square in Palmerston North. And all we did was we had sandwich boards on us saying what was happening. This is before the bills were put through. And we were inviting the public to come up to us. We weren't going to them. And we had people coming to us and asked, well, what's that about? And I had a Christian guy that came up. Now, he in the past would have been the enemy.
Yep.
And I said to him, you need to be careful. They're going to come for your church. And the look on his face, he got it.
Yeah.
And it's not that they're there to defend us. They're going to probably come out and say awful things about us anyway. But that doesn't matter. And as I said, I've had all the nasty names and everything. Somebody calling me transphobic or racist or this and that. Oh, poof, go away. It means it's water off a duck's back now because I've seen it all.
But still, Marie, you couldn't say what you thought in the civic square of my city on Sunday because violence was used on Saturday in Auckland and the police did not intervene, and that makes me weep for my country.
And my partner rang 111 because we were watching the live stream because we were going to be speaking the next day. And then she just could not handle the response that she got from the woman on the other end. So I took over, gave my name, gave clear description. I admit I was pretty pumped up and I was yelling a bit and telling her, I know it's not you, but why are you not taking down the details? She asked my partner 3 times, where was it? They were stalling us. And I think that they were told not to do anything.
I have a horrible suspicion that is the case, Marie.
Yes, it definitely is. Now, I want to just go on about a few other things because I want to talk about gay liberation. It started in 1972.
Yep.
And I didn't know anything about it because I was in the Navy and I hung out with the bar dykes and everything. We had our own scene. We'd already got our own club together in 1971. The gay liberation come about in the university in Auckland.
Yeah.
Now, there's a reason why the word lesbian wasn't there at the time. The woman who stood up and said, who's going to join me and begin the gay liberation and rah, 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 she didn't use the word lesbian because the word lesbian was a dirty word in those days. It was a slur. And everybody, including myself, we hid behind the gay because that was more acceptable. So what I'm finding now is that the word lesbian...
is more acceptable than gay after what we saw over the weekend, Marie.
Well, no, it's not actually because they're eliminating us. You have to realise that this LGBTQ lobby group, they got on board on the back of the lesbian and gay bisexual movement.
Yeah.
It was a grassroots movement that ended up being successful. It wasn't funded by huge amounts of money. And then they went too far. They went to go for same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
I want to say that just because we're lesbians, it doesn't mean to say we all agree. I am opposed to that. I always have been. And I think that there was no consultation with the Christian people who find it sacred and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But the thing is that brought the T in, and the transgender that came onto the acronym then had the money.
Yeah.
And they brought the money with them. Yeah. And what happened then is they latched onto the LBG group like a tick, and they hung on. And then they got stronger, and that's why the acronyms have added on and added on and added on. Now, this is a very, very dangerous lobby group now. It's gone past what it started off, and well, they weren't even part of it when it started out, because just remember, transgender is not a sexuality. And then how can they get all the heterosexual young people who want to join this glitter, this rainbow shit?
Well, they're scaring the hell out of them. They're telling them at universities and in their workplaces that if they do anything that looks like saying, oh, I don't quite agree, that they're going to be yelled down, shouted down, lose their jobs. Look at what happened to the Today FM people who said men couldn't have babies. They are literally re-educated by their company at threat of losing their jobs. Marie, can I ask you to keep listening to the platform and ring me regularly? Because I've really loved talking to you today. I really have.
Can I really say something else?
Yep.
I think that the heterosexuals have joined in, and they're the ones who call themselves non-binary. That's how they've grown. That's how they've included them all.
We're all just...
And you will know when this lobby group has got so strong and so powerful when they can drop, because they go in under the umbrella of LGBT. They know they cannot do that on their own at the moment. That's why when the drag queens go to the library, and I've been to one to actually see what they do there, they go under the umbrella of LGBT. Because they know if they went under as a drag queen, transgender, the public are not ready to take them on board. Marie, they are forcing this lie down your throat.
Yeah, Marie, I thank you so much for your call. Wow, what a morning. Bridget, welcome to the platform. Thank you for joining us.
Morena, Sean. Thank you for having me. And first of all, I'd just like to thank you for providing this platform for us. I to be honest, I'd never heard of you. I'm really sorry, but last week I was just so upset about Posey Parker and all the horrendous media attention that she was getting. And I started looking through YouTube, and I came across you, and I've signed up, and
Thank you.
I feel like this is the only genuine place that we can freely express our opinions and have debate. So, I guess I'm not adding anything new that none of the other women haven't said before me, but I just wanted to give a perspective, I guess, from as a mother of 2 young children, and I've got most of my friends fully support this as well, as mums of young kids, and I'm in Wellington, and we were all set to go down and we had the intention of just going down to sit, peacefully and just show our support to Posey Parker. And then I was watching with, anticipation on Saturday, and when I saw her live stream of it, honestly, I started crying. I guess all it showed to me, I did not expect it. I actually had full hope that I did believe that she would be allowed to speak. I genuinely did. I thought the police would be there. So everything I truly believed did not happen, and I really saw the death of free speech in New Zealand, which, in all honesty, I started to see with the mandate protest last year. I saw a heavily biased media, so I've lost all trust in them, and now they're reporting false accounts. They are heavily biased towards the activists, and I guess I'm very, very disappointed. I did wonder if there'd be something still on yesterday, but I was too terrified to go down. And in all honesty, I've had to give a pseudonym. I can't say who I really am. New Zealand's very small. There's major social repercussions for women with opinions on this topic. On all topics, in all honesty. You either go along with that wokery nonsense or you're cancelled. And as a mother, I've got to be very careful for my kids as well. I don't want them being socially outcasted for any opinion. So it's, as a mum, this is very terrifying. I do wonder where's truth gone? What's, objective, rational truth and logic that, we can look outside, we see the grass is green. But now we're being told people's subjective experiences are more, that's reality. It's a scary place we're in, and I do wonder what the outcome for kids is going to be. Already I've had children come, say stuff that they shouldn't be talking about, in my opinion. As children, why aren't we letting kids be kids? Instead, they're sort of getting indoctrinated from an early age, either through their parents, through even cartoons, children's cartoons, just about the gender ideology.
Bridget, I think there are some really disturbing things happening in our education system and in our schools, and we haven't been allowed to talk about them. Can I say thank you for getting on the platform and for ringing up, and the more people who do, and you might be getting the impression we're a place that does it a little differently.
Yep. Okay,
so tell your friends there is a place that is safe for free speech and ideas that may not be popular but still need to be aired. And I thank you so much for ringing in.
Honestly, thank you. And I just want to say, with a country with appalling violence against women, sexual assault, I think it's 1 in 3 women have reported being sexually abused in some way. And now women have had no say as to opening our doors, our sex segregated places, which we are safe because they're private, changing rooms, etc. We've had no say in that. That's the thing that's infuriating. I've got nothing against people living however they choose to live. Yeah. I've got no problem with that. That's not the issue. The issue is that it's encroaching on women's rights, and there's no place to have a healthy discussion about that so we can come to a resolution.
There is. It's called The Platform, Bridget, and you're part of it now. I thank you so much for your call. Paula, welcome to the platform. Thank you for waiting.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having us. Hey, I was there in the crush, and very early on, or basically as soon as the barriers came down, and I was just in this crush of people. I'd taken a photo already of the 70-year-old who had a very fresh black eye, which I've put onto Twitter. I tweeted, "Where are the police?" And it was a full 15 minutes before I saw any sign of them. As in, I had to. This was after Posey had left. I managed to climb up onto the out of safety, really, or tried to get to safety, and I climbed up on the rotunda, and I could see them, and they were just standing around with their arms crossed, and that was terrible. I had a sign, keep men out of women's sports, and that was taken from me and ripped into tiny pieces by several people, by the anti-trans, by the protesters, by the trans group, and I was told, they looked me right in the eye and said to me I should be ashamed of myself. And I'm an athletic 5'11" woman, and I felt so intimidated and so scared, and I was shaking that I needed to find a male. I asked a male to help me out, to get me out of there safely. And I've never been so terrified. And, to be called a Nazi, well, that is so offensive to Jewish people, because, we were just there peacefully trying to listen to women speak, and that's what I went for, and I didn't get to hear any women speak, and that was really awful. And I think what would have happened if Georgina Bayer was still with us? She would be condemning.
Oh, no, they've been co-opting her. The Max Tweedies and the Chanel Lals and the Green Party have been co-opting the ghost of Georgina Bayer to say she would have been ripping your sign off you. I think that's bullshit, having known Georgina personally for many years.
I agree with you, and I don't think that I think she'd be rolling in her grave to know what went on there and what was allowed to happen by the police. I think that Chanel's completely incorrect about what he's saying.
Yeah, well, he doesn't have the balls, excuse the pun, to front up here this morning. Neither does Max Tweedy or Marama Davidson or Chloe Schwabrook, who went online last night and said that was a wonderful, peaceful protest. Well, she is on drugs quite clearly, isn't she?
It was not peaceful at all. It was not peaceful. It was scary as fuck. Excuse my language.
No, I think it's justified in this setting. Paula, I thank you for ringing. Look, one other question, which I've asked everyone. Do you think the media, the mainstream media, when we've got Chris Luxon saying it looked pretty peaceful to me, do you think we're getting the real story?
No, absolutely not. And I'm so grateful to have found you. I found you a few weeks ago on a different issue, and I'm so glad, and I just hope that everybody is starting to understand how evil our media is, our mainstream media.
Yeah, well, we can make them better, Paula, but we've got to speak up, and we've got to have a platform to do that. That's why we're here. I thank you so much for your call. This is why we are here. And I'll tell you that this is, from our figures that come through off the computer, this is the highest listenership we've ever had on the platform. And this is why we built it, for days like today and every day in New Zealand when we need the truth. Oh, okay. Lee, how are you?
Oh, hi, Sean. I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much for hosting this. I'm a seasoned activist. I was in London in the 80s, and I marched on many protests.
What for? What did you activise for, Lee?
Well, I was. I'm a lesbian.
Yeah.
I was involved in lesbian strength marches. I worked at the London Lesbian and Gay Centre. I was in all the Pride marches during the 80s. I was in the poll tax march.
I
was there. I saw the Brixton riots. I was an eyewitness to the police shooting of Mark Duggan 10 years ago when the riots erupted in Tottenham.
Yeah.
Now, I have been in, as I say, I've been in many different situations like this.
Yep.
I was going to go to the rally in Wellington. Now, on Thursday, I started feeling very uneasy about it, so I went and I bought myself a hard hat. Now, I have never gone to a protest where I have had to take some kind of health health and safety equipment with me. So I bought a hard hat because I could see the frenzy that the media...
Which side were you going to go and support on Sunday?
Well, I was going to listen to Kelly J. Keane.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, I was going to listen to her, and I could just feel it that this was going to go off. So on Sunday I started watching it live, and the minute Posey really stepped foot on the ground, well, within a minute or two of Posey setting foot on the ground, I rang 111 because I was so concerned I didn't see any police. After about, probably a 7 or 8 minute wait, I was able to speak to a dispatcher or something like that, whatever they're called. I gave very clear location details. And as I was talking to the police, like probably maybe a minute or two in, I did see the police finally come and protect Kelly J. And the person who I was speaking with was saying, she's now, I said, the police are there. And she said, well, that's right. Then I said, no, it's not. I said, what about the other women that are there? Where are the police? The police need to get to the other women. And from what I've heard from listening to your show, the police actually never turned up to protect those women. Now,
worse than that, Lee, they stood by.
They stood by, that's right. They stood by. They completely and utterly stood by. And I think that there's, like the chap before, what he said, I think that's a very good question. And I think there really should be an inquiry into the police's actions on this. But the other thing I want to say is that the global implications for our tourism are absolutely shocking.
Oh, yeah, Lee, there's been that whole... But look, I'll be honest, I'm not into cancel culture like that. I'm not into the boycotts.
No,
I'm into fixing the problem with the police and the media and free speech.
Yeah, but I also think that the only way that can be fixed is the money. Because if they see that people are boycotting coming to New Zealand, and women are 52% of the population. So if there's a lot of, and Twitter is rife with this, that women are feeling unsafe about coming to New Zealand. And the way how New Zealand is promoted, that we're all very, wonderful and diverse and everything like that. Well, like me, on Thursday when I decided that I needed to buy that hard hat, like the fact that I felt it, that it was whipped up into such a frenzy. Now, I also texted a reporter that I had been talking with prior to the event, and I texted him within probably 3 minutes to say, where are the police?
Yeah.
So, and he texted me back saying, we've got 2 cameras on the ground. Great, 2 cameras.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to see some prosecutions now. People are coming out saying they threw the soup or they punched someone, and there's plenty of video evidence. Lee, I'm sorry, I'm going to have...
And the other thing, can I just say that there is a long history of women being attacked with acid. Now, nobody knows what was in those liquids that were thrown at her. No. They could have been
acid. They could have been anything, and the police allowed that to happen. I agree, Lee. And also the person who admitted actually throwing the red liquid over Kelly J is a chemist. Wow, that's scary.
That person is
good friends with the Green Party.
And
a bloke. As far as
a bloke, exactly. Yes.
Lee, I thank you for your call. I got to move through. If you're buying the Herald or the stuff, buying what they're selling, God, I have to say it. Wake up, New Zealand. I hate it. I hate feeling like I'm campaigning for something. I'm just campaigning for some basic free speech and human rights in a country that I love. In a country that I absolutely love. Jane, welcome to the platform.
Morning, Sean. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear.
Oh, great stuff. Hey, just another woman calling in that was there on Saturday. Hugely disappointed by how things rolled out. Hugely disappointed by the lack of response from the police. As I came in for the event, I had to drive around Albert Park, and there were plenty of empty police cars parked along the street. There was a police van as well, and there were a couple of cops at a time sort of on the peripheral of the park, but as everyone else has said, they were nowhere to be seen once things started to kick off. The noise started at about 22, 11 from the crowd as they surged forward. And I think someone else had said, I assumed that the sort of double barrier that there was for the police to stand in between, but they never came. I remember going to some very peaceful rallies through the COVID restriction time, and very peaceful rallies, nothing happening there, but there was a huge police presence, cops walking around with long lens cameras, taking photos of people just stood peacefully. Nothing like that at this event. I think if you're going to be at the Prime Minister's gallery this afternoon, I remember watching an interview with Chris Hipkins last week on news. Well, I saw it on replay, but on the AN show, where he's talking about the right of the trans protesters to have a peaceful and safe environment
they didn't have a peaceful
for
process.
freedom of speech.
Yeah.
No, not at all. I left the crowd. I was surrounded, but I left the crowd at the point where the activists were pulling cards and signs out of the peaceful people.
Were you afraid, Jane?
I wasn't afraid for me. I was certainly afraid for Jelly Kay Keane. That's who they were targeting. There were chants in the peripheral of where I was. There were chants of "Die, Posey, die! Go kill yourself! Go kill yourself!" I've heard some hate in my time, but what was leveled at that woman on Saturday was just inexcusable. The majority of the people that I saw, again, in the crowd where I was, were men. And I can't fathom it. Just the irony of that whole scenario, men shouting down women, one woman on her own. There's nothing brave or courageous about that. And it's sickening. It really is. I'm still reeling really from it. I'm just disappointed mainly though that we didn't get the people that were there for the purpose of hearing women speak didn't get the opportunity. So again, like everyone else has said, thank you for that opportunity this morning. And where do we go from here?
Well, Jane, we keep talking, we keep providing platforms, and we keep promoting free speech. And we have faith in each other.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. But, I'm sure you have them, but seriously, think long and hard about the questions for Chris Hipkins this afternoon, please. Make him as uncomfortable as possible.
I just want to get the truth. I want to find a way forward. Yeah. I think we all do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. Look, I haven't had a day like it on radio, to be honest, or in my broadcasting career. There is something wrong. I wasn't wrong when I sat there on Saturday and said, this ain't right. This ain't right at all. Thank you for your calls. Keep them coming. Ray. G'day, Ray. How are you?
Good. Sean, I was disgusted when I watched it live on Saturday, and my son and husband, who haven't really been following it, weren't watching it, but they said, "Oh my God, have you seen what's happening?" And so they were shocked, even though they haven't been following it. I would like you to encourage everyone who has video that shows the violence to send it to Chris Luxton.
And to Chris Hipkins? What about Chris Hipkins, who's actually the Prime Minister?
Yep, him as well.
Yeah.
And also to Erica Stanford, because I heard her on Q&A yesterday with Jack Payne pretty much saying that if she had to hit that file on her desk about Kelly, she would have banned her. Probably.
Yeah, I see. That's not the answer.
No, exactly. And it's not good enough. I did send you the video of that Trinity Ice elbowing.
Yeah. Trinity Ice is now well known to us, I imagine, and I'm sure she'll be getting arrested today.
So I just would encourage everyone, don't rely on what you saw on the media, on the
mainstream media,
It was, no. And I'm sure at the back of that protest were well-meaning people that went there to
me too.
literally just quietly protest. But it was the mob at the front that caused the trouble, probably.
Yeah.
And I'm ashamed of the police. I'm ashamed of those people, and I've always supported the trans community and their rights. The only thing I don't care if they use my toilet. That's a cubicle. I care if they're in the change room with young girls at local sports events changing in front of them.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I care about. I care about where the woman feels uncomfortable. I don't feel uncomfortable in a cubicle at a toilet with them, you know. But you know, we this is not about that now. This has gone way beyond.
Right, and that's my point. This isn't about Posey Parker anymore. It's not about trans rights anymore. It's about democracy and freedom of speech and rule of law.
Yeah. And I would like, if you could at all, to maybe send to Posey the 3 hours that you've just done, so she can hear that it wasn't the people of New Zealand.
I've talked to her. I talked to her on Saturday night. We had some conversations, and she knows that most of New Zealand is appalled at what happened.
The other thing I wanted to say, my son works in a major hotel.
Yeah.
And he said, how the God did they find out what room she was?
Oh, yeah, well, I'll tell you, the hotel, having booked her for Friday and Saturday night, we're going to kick her out on Saturday, Ray. And I'll tell you what I was doing Saturday morning. Saturday morning, I was trying to find her a safe house in Auckland, and I was trying to find her a safe house in Wellington for her visit.
Yeah, she needs to be in a house, not in a hotel.
Yeah.
Because even though the front office staff might protect her, there's too many staff in hotels that can let it slip.
Yeah.
You know?
No, she turned up, and as I said, there was a death threat waiting for her at her hotel. And look, that's just disgusting.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Thanks,
Absolutely
Ray.
disgusting.
Thank you for your call. Amanda, good morning to you.
Hi, Sean. Thank you this morning for what you're doing. I'm so heartbroken for this country. As a woman, I just watched the live stream and I felt oppressed and I felt powerless and I felt scared for my daughter and my nieces. And I just stand with all those women who've spoken today. This is my first time on Talkback. I'm just a bit emotional. But thank you for standing up for us. Thank you for those women who've gone before us, who've fought for our rights to vote, our rights, all those people that protested before. I feel like those are in danger, and that's the point of what women are trying to make. It's not about anyone else. It's about those who've gone before us, those who've fought for what we have today. I'm 46. I never would have thought I would be talking about this now.
Amanda, I thank you for your call, and this is your platform. This is where you can say what you think and believe, and we'll keep you safe.
Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ingeborg, not a classic Kiwi name. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you very much for everything you do for everyone, including women. Yes, I'm just an ordinary woman. I'm a Kiwi, and this is my country as well. And I'm worried about ordinary women like me, who I'm not an activist. I'm not an aggressive person. I don't want to fight. I just want women to have their right to speak. New Zealand was the country that first gave women the vote. And I'm petrified, really, that this is happening. And what should we do? Ordinary women, we're just the backbone, really, of ordinary people. And what do you think we should do?
I think you should, I'm going to be honest, I think you should listen to the platform more. I think you should tell your friends to. I think you should ignore mainstream, bent news media. I think you should hold politicians and people in public office to account when they display the sort of craziness that Tory Whanau, the Mayor of Wellington, has. I think you should hold people like Christopher Luxon to account when he says it looked pretty peaceful to him. And I also think you should, in the meantime, get on with living your best life and look for joy in the world and the things that make you happy.
Absolutely. And I do think we should speak up, but not in an aggressive way.
Yeah.
We don't achieve anything by that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to speak up and to be heard when you're just an ordinary Kiwi mom.
Well, you're not. You're part of us.
Thank you.
And
Thank
you're
you
part of the
very
country
much.
we are. Thank you, Ingeborg. That's it. What a morning.